The first half of the baseball season is come and gone. It's probably about time to hand out some grades and talk big takeaways. So I'm going to let you guide us through this wonderful journey here in the second half of our show.
Yeah, I mean, I think
not half because we're getting close to
start
ending,
with
but.
a positive. Well, let's start with the negative. Actually, start with the negative.
I love the
and
negatives.
work our way back. So if you look at the pitching side, this is not the Dodgers that we know and love. This is not a team that's bringing out the pitchers and excelling, give you quality starts every time you get back out there on the mound. And look, this is an organization since 1958, since they came to Los Angeles, they have a 3.45 ERA. That's first in all of Major League Baseball. So statistically, the Dodgers have had the best pitching since they put on that Dodger blue in LA. That hasn't been the case this season. A 4.5 ERA, that's 23rd. A 4.19 FIP, that's 15th. 4.17 expected FIP, that's 17th. Opponent's batting average at 244, that's 19th. But the one that scares me, the red flag for me, is 445 innings pitched. That's 25th in Major League Baseball. 25 out of 30 teams. Last year, for comparison's sake, they were 11. So you're not getting those quality starts. Outside of Clayton Kershaw, who put this team on his back, he's on the IL now. He really had no consistency. You had Tony Gonsolin underperformed. Julio Urias underperformed. He dealt injuries. So did Tony Gonsolin. The young guys, the youth movement. You had a great first 4 starts from Bobby Miller, 0.78 ERA. Really nice few starts from Emmett Sheehan. Gavin Stone didn't realize his potential this year. He hasn't worked out. He hasn't looked like the guy that was the Dodgers minor league pitcher of the year last year. Michael Grove's done what he can. And look, Noah Syndergaard has been a bust. I mean, there's just no way to sugarcoat that. He's been bad. We'll see if he gets another opportunity. They were banking on that. Pepia was injured. So all in all, I'm going to give the grade for this team as far as pitching. I got to give the starting pitching a C-, and the bullpen a D. So that's where I'm at.
I would stay right in that category. Honestly, the bullpen is it's been better over the last couple of months. Let's figure it out. But the bullpen struggles have been, well, it was partly, they admitted, I think it was Evan Phillips talking about it. It's like, hey, we didn't have that veteran dog this year, and they had to learn how to grow up and be men together without somebody like a Dan Hudson, David Price, and I think we talked about this last week too. And they did. They put it together. They put the pieces together. They've kind of had some guys coming in, coming out, and they've assembled a decent unit, but also they've settled into their roles because we're not seeing EP come in, pitch in the 5th, 6th inning anymore. But the fact that we were at any point shows you how bad the starting pitching has been. And yeah, it's mostly injury driven. You losing Dustin May, that was a devastating blow. Noah Syndergaard, we figured he wouldn't be great, but he wouldn't be this bad. So if we're grading it that way, if we're splitting it, I think a C+ for the bullpen, and a C for the starting pitching, and most of that, even getting that high, is kind of from Clayton Kershaw because he's just been the guy. He's been the only guy this team can rely on. So C- or C+ and a C. It gets to getting degrees.
That's the thing. I mean, C, I look at as average. I feel like they've been a below average bullpen. And yes, Evan Phillips, he should have been the all-star. He should have made that team. He should have been up in Seattle. 2.55 ERA, 2.94 FIP, K percentage almost at 32%. But outside of that, look, if this is an album, there's a lot of skips, right? There's a lot of skips on that album.
Yeah.
He's the hit single. Brewster's had some moments, but for the most part, this bullpen, I think it's not just the lack of performance, it's how they perform. You're not seeing them miss bats in key situations. I think that the restricted shift has hurt them. More balls in play. The opponent's batting average is higher. The BABIP is higher. And
it's not a championship bullpen. This is not one you want in the postseason for sure. So they need help. But to get through the first half, it's passable.
Yeah, they can get extra credit. They can get some new kids join the school midway through the school, get some new talent. That's really the only way I think they're going to go and be above average. I don't think it's a situation where you study hard, and you hit the books, and you get a tutor and that sort of thing, and then you become average or better. No, you got to get some new students, and I think they're going to do that at the break.
Cool. Moving on.
Moving on. We're talking about the offense. So the offense, they've been awesome. The offense has been fantastic, really across the board, led by Mookie Betts, led by Freddie Freeman. Will Smith's continued to emerge. JD Martinez, he's exceeded expectations. He's been the best designated hitter in this league, not named Shohei Ohtani. So, yeah, he's been phenomenal. I think you got to give them an A. I think you got summa cum laude, Phi Theta Kappa, honor roll, principals list. I'm giving him an A.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking, if you're disregarding the month of April, where they were very hit and miss, but also pretty bad. They lived on Max Muncy's hot streak of the season, and of course Freddie doing Freddie things. Mookie was bad. Was not bad, but he was off.
He was slumping early for sure.
Will was on fire, but he also missed most of the month with that concussion. April, if let's take away April, it's been a much better offense. However, there have still been for 2.5 months then without April, 2.5 months where you've seen lineups have Austin Barnes, Miguel Vargas, Miguel Rojas, and the other guy I don't like, who I'm saying, whatever. I mean, let's just say James Outman amid a struggle or whatever. You have 4 guys hitting under 250 in that lineup. One guy hitting under 100. That's rough, and that brings down the whole grading curve in my assessment. However, when you have guys like Hayward, Peralta, Freddie, and then what Mookie Betts has done really since taking off in May, I think he's hitting like over 357. He's been insane. He's been, and obviously this last stretch of two weeks of games, you're seeing what MVP Mookie looks like, and we got a little taste of it in 20, but Apple Watch 2018 Mookie, we're kind of getting that guy right now, and the watch is off. B+ is my grade.
That's fair. I'm not mad at that grade at all. I think you definitely point out their deficiencies. In the bottom of the lineup, they have been inconsistent. They did rely heavily on the top of that lineup during certain spurts. And I think David Peralta, he's another guy that's come on late after starting the year slow. Talking about a guy, OPS over 1,000 the last month. The guy last month
2 months, really?
Well, yeah. Then the month before that had 2 months really when it comes to overall production. But I still think, though, overall production from the start of the year to the break, the way they've carried this team, that meme where the guy has the big JanSport backpack that's like life size? That was this Dodgers offense, just putting this team on their back. And I think this offense is better than last year. And the numbers sort of bear that out. I mean, weighted runs created plus, they have a 113. That's 4th, so 13% above league average. Last year, a 119 weighted runs created plus. But home runs, 149 home runs, that's second behind the Braves. That's 1.67 home runs per game. Last year, 1.3 home runs per game. So better this year. Last year, 834 OPS with runners in scoring position. Last year, they had 824 OPS. So better this year, better with 2 outs, better against left-handed pitching.
Two outs
and runners in the scoring position.
And
definitely.
Thank God we have Jake Marisnick now.
Yeah, I think if you want to spot the pimple on a model with this offense, you got to point to the fact that almost 53% of their runs have been generated from the home run ball. That's surpassed the Braves.
Hey, hold on, wait. Hey, Cody, did you know that if you want the dub, you got to slug?
If you want the dub, you got to slug.
If you outslug your opponents, you win at an 80% clip.
That's the PG version of if you don't know the facts,
you gotta F the stuff.
What?
Nailed the quote.
So
hold on, wait, because that sounded to me like you were kind of viewing the over-reliance on home runs as a problem, but you're saying they need to hit the home runs to win. I mean, yeah, I guess if that's the only thing you
but
have
that's
the
why
reliance
I think
upon.
if you're going to add a bat, I think a guy that has some bat to ball, a guy you can trust down the lineup. I love what I've seen from David Peralta. I think he helps that kind of supplement that at the bottom of the order. I think Will Smith, JD Martinez, a lot of talented hitters. Freddie Freeman's not a guy that's looking to slug, but the reality is, when they out-homer their opponents, they win games. When they don't, they usually lose. But in the postseason, you're going to be facing elite pitchers. You're not going to be able to hit 2 home runs and 4 doubles a night. You have to have those clubs in your bag, and that is my one concern. That's why you definitely want to bolster the bottom of that lineup. So when Chris Taylor comes back, a guy that's very boomer buzz, very streaky, I mean, there's some issues there, and you're going to need some guys to perform. But that's why I like the direction that this organization is going in. I love me some Mickey Vargas, but they know they need some trusted veteran hitters, and I think they're going to do just that.
Best case scenario, if they are acquiring a bat that is a difference maker bat, they find somebody that will allow them to move Max Muncy down into the 6 or 7 hole, because he's not a cleanup hitter right now. And if he does come on and he's batting 6th or 7th, cool. Then you have production down in the middle, the latter middle of the lineup, and more dubs, more slugs, more World Series champions.
I agree with that, but don't you think that this lineup, this current iteration, when they're all at their best, it is when Max Muncy is batting cleanup, but actually hitting home runs, getting on base. I mean, the walks are still there, but you want to get the power numbers there.
This lineup at its best revolves around Mookie Betts, but Max can carry a team leaps and bounds better than most on this club for sure. Anyways,
great point.
So we've gone through pitching, we've gone through hitting, we have our grades out there. What else are we grading today? Mr. Mac_LA.
Well, I think let's get into the MVP. My first half MVP. I got to go with Clayton Kershaw. Even though I think Mookie Betts can catch Ronald Acuna Jr. in the second half and actually win league MVP, this team would be in big trouble if it weren't for Clayton Kershaw in the first half. One of the better pitchers in the league. You're talking about solid start after solid start, really turning back the clock, vintage Kershaw performances. If it weren't for that shoulder injury, he would have been in the conversation to start the All-Star game for the second consecutive year. This team might be 4 or 5 games back without Kersh.
It's a good pick. It's not the wrong pick, that's for sure. Anytime you could pick Clayton Kershaw and it's the right move, or it's not going to. It's not a legacy pick because this is a dude who literally put his pitching staff on his back. We have a poll out there. I'll get to the poll results. For me, it's Freddie Freeman. This is a guy, and yeah, I'm probably in the minority about it, but he's been the one consistent thread throughout the season of being just damn good at keeping the line moving. And when he's not, he's still finding ways to win. These dudes out here stealing bags now. You know, he's no Ronald Acuna, but he's somewhere close. No, he's not. But he also has been, I think, slept on as a clubhouse bridge. He got asked probably more than anybody this past offseason about Justin Turner's gone. Who's the new voice? Who's the new clubhouse leader? He took it. He took it and ran with it. And that's where I think you are seeing the best Dodger clubhouse that you've seen in your time covering the team, going in the locker room, seeing these dudes. We've been to spring training. We know how they kind of operate. But Freddie is the man, and he bridged the new guys coming in there, getting Jay Hay, who proved out to be the right call to add this dude. But it didn't put it on Mookie, and it let Mookie go out and put together this incredible season that is going to get him at least a 2 in the MVP voting. But it's Freddie. Freddie is the man, and it's more than just what he does on the field. By the way, what he does on the field, really effing good.
No, I think it's a fantastic pick. I think it's a great point about him being the team leader in that clubhouse. And he has just a ability to connect with so many guys. I mean, for his road trip pick, he went with Miguel Rojas, right? I mean, just the fact that he goes Miggy Rowe because he plays music, he likes the way he dresses. I think he's a guy that he can go to different groups of this clubhouse and make connections. And I think, too, it's the routine. It's a lead by example. My favorite thing about Freddie Freeman, I think I was there for a game where we went 0 for 4. He had a rough night. He was going through a really rough stretch. And like, what are you going to do differently? He's like, I'm going to do exactly the same thing I do when I'm on a hot streak. He does the exact same thing. His routine is down to a T. He doesn't try to hit home runs. He goes to all fields. His approach is always consistent. And I want to point out, too, that if you look at his numbers this year, a 155 weighted runs created plus, last year 157 weighted runs created plus. For a full regular season, that's better than any year he had in Atlanta, save for that 2020 MVP season. So even at this current age where some people thought a decline was coming, some people thought that, hey, he was going to fall out of his prime, he is still peak Freddie Freeman. And I think, too, hey, what does Mookie always say? I see a lot of strikes because Freddie Freeman is batting right behind me. So I love that pick, the stability. Yeah, Mookie's going to have his ups and downs, especially with the power numbers. We're talking about a guy with 26 bombs on pace at 47. But I love the consistency. I will say, have you seen Corey Seager's numbers this year? Because, my goodness. But still.
Man, to have a world where both Freddie Freeman and Corey Seager were on this team.
Jesus.
You know, there is going to be a point in time that we're going to look at Corey Seager in the same light that we look at Adrian Beltre. And that sucks. As longtime Dodger fans, that's painful. You know, the kids in the room, they don't know what I'm talking about. But that means something to old man McCain and I. By the way, fans, on the Twitter machine, Mookie Betts. 62.2% of fans between Kershaw, Mookie, and Freddie. 62.2% say Mookie Betts was the first half MVP. And really, amongst those three, there isn't a wrong answer. There's absolutely not a wrong answer. So, there's your grades. Let's find some stuff. What do you got for me, Cody?
We'll ace the final. Let's ace the final in the World Series.
Do you want to plug in some stuff, or did I catch you at a bad time?
I like this comment. Can I read this one? John Palmer said,
can you?
Shohei isn't...
May I?
Please. John Palmer says, Shohei isn't 40 yet, so the Mets are out.